But yeah, shout out to all of you at Urban View. Shout out to the newbies. I actually got a chance to connect with some of y'all over the holiday because I just be out minding my business. And apparently sometimes y'all hear a voice and y'all be like, oh, I know that voice. In fact, we were at a Kwanzaa. I'm about to get your moment of gratitude in a second. I'm going to tell y'all this story real quick. It was at a Kwanzaa event. Shout out to the friends who hosted the Kwanzaa. And it was for Nia. It was the Nia Purpose Day. So this was on Monday. And so we're there at the Kwanzaa. I'm having a good time, y'all. I made my children wear, I don't know, my daughter, because my son was coming from work. I made my daughter wear some like kente cloth Ankara print. She was like, Mom, am I going to be the only one there wearing this? I was like, no, of course not. And of course she was. She was the only child there, like the first half of the event. She's like the only kid wearing Ankara. She's like, I told you I should have just worn my t-shirt. I had a Simba shirt. I was like, Simba is not Africa. Simba is the Lion King. She was like, Mom, no one else has on Ankara print. I was like, that is true, but you look lovely. So we're there. We're having a good time. She's, making her way through it. And then other kids did show up with the prints on, so she didn't feel completely out of sorts. But we're having a good time at the Kwanzaa. I'm talking to this sister who might even be listening right now. Shout out to you, Michaela. But we're having a good old time. And she was like, how like you're 10, 15 minutes into a conversation and you realize you can't remember what the person's name that you're talking to is. And I was like, tell me your name again, sis. And she tells me, and she says, and what's yours again? I said, Lurie. She said, Marie. I said, no, Lurie, like Marie, but with the L. She was like, oh, because there's this lady I listen to. That's weird. Her name is Lurie. She says the same thing, like Marie, but with L. And I was like, oh, what's her name? Like, I totally knew where this was going. She was like, Lurie Daniel Favors. Like, I listen to her all the time. And I was like, oh. And then I kind of waited as she's like talking about how much she loved the show. I was like, that's me. She was like, what? I was like, yeah, that's me. And then I started laughing. And she was like, oh, my God, the laugh. So it was great. Shout out to you, sis. I think I said Michaela. It's Malika. See, and I done messed up. Shout out to Malika. It was great to connect with you and all the amazing people at the Kwanzaa event. I had a phenomenal Kwanzaa for which I am so absolutely grateful. But today's moment of gratitude. Let's get into it. And so newcomers, I don't think I finished explaining how the moment of gratitude works after I introduced what it is. So basically, I'm going to present something to you. Usually it'll be a poem or a story or a quote or a picture, something that will allow us to collectively focus our attention on some goodness, right? And so today's focus is all about, predictably, the new year, okay? Because we are at a new phase. And while I know this calendar is not necessarily our global majority calendar, I know that this is a calendar that is only really for this particular society, and I know that we have other dates that are very important for us as a group. January, the beginning of the year, means something, right? Beginning of the year, new month. And so one of the things that we often do is we make resolutions and we make promises about who we're going to be and what's going to change and how we're going to do this, that, and the other. And this year, my family didn't do that. We did family vision boards. We did them on Kuumba Day, which is Creativity Day. And so our family vision boards were really about what it is that each of us want to see in three particular areas: our personal lives, our academic or professional life. If you're one of the children in the household in school, it was academic. And for me and B, as the adults, it was professional, personal, academic. Oh, and family. So what is your goal with the family? Like, how do you want the family to show up differently? How do you want to show up differently in the family? How do you want to show up differently in your personal life? And how do you want to show up differently in your academic and professional life? So we did not do resolutions. And the reason we did not do resolutions is because I'm really focusing this year, or we're trying to focus this year on cultivating habits. Right, as opposed to making declarations about what we want, cultivating habits. And the moment of gratitude picture that I shared today is shared by someone who I don't follow. I think this was on Twitter where I got this screenshot. It looks like a Twitter screenshot. And they go by TLHONOLO, TLHONOLO_. I don't follow them, but it's all right. But they said this thing and I took it. And what they said, they have a picture. And it's a person holding up an index card. And on the index card in the picture, it says, if your habits don't change, you won't have a new year. You'll just have another year. If your habits don't change, you won't have a new year. You just gonna have another year. And that's kind of it. And that's sort of what I wanted to focus on for today's moment of gratitude inspiration. 2025 is going to be really about the habits that we cultivate, the ways of being that we curate, the habits that we choose to replace with something else, because I'm not one of those people who believes you can end one habit unless you replace it with something else. It's too difficult. And so if we are thinking about where we want to be as a people at the end of this year, at this time next year, I'm more interested in the habits that we are going to curate. What habits are we going to bring into our household? What habits are we going to bring into our personal lives? What habits are we going to take into our professional life? So before the holiday, I began working out again because I had kind of fallen off towards the end of the year. And I am a skinny person, but skinny don't mean healthy. And so I, started working out before the year ended. And then yesterday, on the first year, I stood on the scale. I don't know why I did this. It wasn't smart, but I stood on the scale and I was like, holy crap. And I said, holy crap, because I, again, had been working out towards the end of the year. So the number should have been lower because I was already working out. And the number was much higher than I anticipated. I was like, okay, so habits. What are the habits that I'm going to introduce into my life or revive in my life that are going to allow me to actually make this a new year as opposed to just another year? What are the habits I'm going to incorporate when it comes to my sleep health? What are the habits I'm going to incorporate when it comes to the food health? We've got some health indicators in our household that we need to be talking about. And so we were changing some of the ingredients that we're bringing into our household. Far fewer seed oils, a lot more organic products, and taking out a whole lot more starchy things that are real easy and our staples in the American diet, replacing those with some more traditional organic foods. Habits, not talking about resolutions, but talking about habits, which are things that we do repeatedly so frequently that they become second nature. So the question I have is, what second nature are you trying to curate? What second nature? What is it that you want to see so frequently in your patterns of behavior and engagement that they are like second nature to you? These are what I want us to think about as we approach this new year. It's not about resolutions. And for me, now you can have resolutions. I'm not poo-pooing your resolutions. That's beautiful. But what habits are you going to introduce into your life so that those resolutions actually have a shot of making it past Black History Month? That's the question, because usually we make resolutions, they don't make it past President's Day. And maybe Valentine's Day. Between the 14th and the 19th, that's about it. So have your resolutions or don't. But what are the habits that you are going to pick up? And if you're cultivating a new habit, they say, what is it? You need a good 21 to 28 days of doing something repeatedly for it to become a habit. So habitually, if you can make it to the first 28 days of the year, baby, I promise you, it is going to have an impact on everything that comes thereafter. If your habits don't change, you ain't going to have a new year. You're just going to have another one. And ain't nothing wrong with having another year. But I think a lot of us are interested in something different, something new, something better. And that's going to require some active habit cultivation. My friends, I don't know what it is today that gives you a sense of joy or gratitude or appreciation. But whatever it is, I want you to hold on to it, cherish and nourish it, and sprinkle as much of the juicy goodness of it as you possibly can into the lives of other people. Because Lord knows we could all use a bit more of it. And that, my friends, is today's moment of gratitude.